Radio TT 365, the best biking station in the world.
Going around in the Manx Grand Prix with some guys, and I was just a young kid. In fact, I hadn't raced the Manx even then, and I hadn't planned to race the Manx in that year. But I remember going around and going through, I think it was Appledene with these guys, you know, and there was one guy called Martin Taylor, and he could talk a good race. By God, he was bloody hopeless, but he could talk a good race. And he said, well, you go through here, pal, and then you see that telegraph pole? I said, yeah, and you see that chimney pot? And he said, well, when you get those two lined up, you tip it in, you know. And I often used to go round more, you know, obviously more laterally, and think to myself, Christ, I'd have been like you. I'd have been through the blinking edges by the time concentrated on the chimney pot and the telegraph pole.
I remember Granty, because I think the first or second year I came here, and I asked him a few things, and he said, Soulby straight, because I was really struggling on a RG 500, and they used to wobble around a lot. And I said, what about Soulby straight? What the hell? He said, middle of the road, on those white lines, stay on those white lines. Is it smoother? I said. He said, no, you're further away from the walls either side. That was the only advice I ever got from him. I'm riding his bike at Scarborough in a couple of weeks' time. They've got the Parrish.
Again, off air, we were talking about various performances yesterday, and I think we all agreed, and I've been sort of waxing lyrical about his performance this week, Hutchie. I mean, he's such a tough rider, really. A tough man.
I live not that far from him, and before his accident at Silverstone, I used to go doing a little bit of mountain biking with him, and he shocks me how tough he is. I mean, most of the riders, especially the riders who do this kind of racing, are kind of hard and brave, but he's a brave lad, he's Hutchinson. What he's been through with that leg, not a lot of people know just what he's been through. I think 25 operations now, and you know, just mentally what he's been through, as well as physically with it, just to be here.
That's the biggest thing for me, because I've been through a fair bit, as you have, you know, but it's just been going on for so long, and it's one thing to the next, and he's so positive with the whole thing all the way through. You know, never throws the towel in.
I tell you what, and because what he does for a living, you don't sometimes want to say, yeah, I've got another infection, I've got to go back in hospital. He's trying to be positive all the time and have his sponsors and people not really knowing what issues he's having. And I was comparing a little chat show in Oswestry. It's a fundraising, road racing legends, and he was booked to do it, and I knew he was in hospital because he'd got another infection, and I'm thinking he's not going to be able to make this. And he rang me up on the morning of the fundraising evening was going ahead, and he said, look, I'm in hospital, I'm going to sign myself out, will you pick me up, take me down there, and I'll do it, and then we'll go home. And he signed himself out of hospital to do it. And that's, and he was in some distress as well during the evening. It wasn't not easy for him.
Okay. Michael Dunlop, first of all, talk about his...
well, I can tell you, Michael Dunlop was offered the Tyco ride,
he was.
And that was ready for him if he wanted it. But at the time, and I spoke to him at some length about it over in the winter, he was over here sorting his bikes out. And at the time, he thought he was staying with the Street Sweep boys, and something went wrong, whatever. And then he was left a bit in the lurch, and he was scrabbling around, and he got Hunts over in Manchester to sort out Fireblade. He's got Kawasaki for super stock. He then had a Suzuki for super sport, and then switched to the Yamaha. So he's a bit muddled up, but I completely agree. I'm not sure if that's what he wants to do, but if he was on a cracking bike with a good team, he'd win lots of races.
But I think he doesn't want to be. I think, you know, you look at him working on the bikes, and he's sat on the floor with the covers off and putting clutches in there. He wants, and that's kind of the Dunlop way, and that's a kind of endearing kind of feature. You know, I've seen real early on in my career, I was racing a 125 MBA in some European championships, and they happened to coincide at the same meetings with some world, it was called F1 at the time. Granty was doing it, Crosby and all them kind of guys, and the front running man was Joe Dunlop. And he just didn't fit into a factory team. Instead of he always had kind of the wrong shirt on and just didn't seem to fit. And I'm sure he would have worked on the bikes himself if they'd have let him. You know, and I think Michael's the same.
It's kind of, you know, this year's been very late in the day getting everything organised, so really affected him badly at the Northwest 200. And then coming here, he's had quite a few issues, and he's fully aware of the situation, and I think you'll probably see things changing.
Yeah, because you'd say the difference with Joey was they might have worked on his own bikes, but they kind of gave him factory Hondas, and they were all, you got all the parts, and it was all the same. The continuity was there and everything else. So.
Except for the shirts.
Yeah, except for the shirts. Yeah.
But we've seen riders in the past, haven't we, that have not really ever fitted into the factory teams,
sure.
and maybe to a point you could say, guys. What about Guy? Let's have a look at Guy. Guy Martin, a fourth, a DNF in the Supersport Race 1. Super Stock 5th and an 8th in the Super Sport. I mean, that's not quite what he was expecting.
By his standards, not a good year.
Yeah.
What do you think? Why is that? Do you think, Steve?
Obviously frustrating for Guy, for the whole team. You know, with Connor's problems, his injuries, which were not his fault. But for Guy, he's got some issues, and I think half of it's him. I do. He's got issues with various things he's not happy with the machines, or whether it be mechanical or tyres or setup. But I don't think his heart doesn't seem to be in it this year.
I think he was hampered in the Superbike race with the tyre issue, wasn't he?
Oh, without doubt.
Yeah,
Dunlop's
no
have
doubt
had an
about that,
amazing time here. I'm not sort of saying anything against Pirellis, but Dunlop's have been, well, at every podium there is, apart from the electric race, really, and they seem to have got that sorted out. But Guy's a busy man, isn't he? He's got so much going on. And just wants to do, he's a bit like a Dunlop, I guess, in some ways, wants to do it in his own way. Did a lovely interview with his fiancée Stephanie yesterday, and she was explaining how she keeps looking at John McGuinness's big motorhome down there, and they're in the back of a van somewhere in a warehouse. But Guy does his thing and let him carry on, but he's a very busy man. He's an incredibly popular man. And I should imagine he's quite frustrated about this year's results.
And very, very, very capable of winning.
Oh, yeah.
Pace-wise, you know. But,
Manx Radio TT 365, the best biking station in the world.